Hello everyone, we're still talking about the development of eye, and in this section we'll talk about the accessory structures of the eyeball. These structures include the eyelids, the conjunctival sac, and the lacrimal glands, the lacrimal sac and the nasolacrimal duct. So all of these structures, initially the development of these structures will be talked about, and then we'll see what happens if the developmental process does not go as planned, and we'll talk about the various congenital anomalies. So let's start with the eyelids. So the upper and the lower eyelids, they develop from reduplication of the surface ectoderm. So this is the ectodermal fold. It reduplicates above and below the cornea. So this is how the upper and lower eyelids are formed. So ectodermal fold contains a core of mesoderm. Here you can see this is the core of mesoderm being contained within the ectodermal fold. Now they remain fused till 10th week and remain adhered until 28th week of development. So these ectodermal folds, during their development, they approach each other and finally fuse with each other. Now they remain fused till 10th week and remain adhered with each other until 28th week of development. Now the central core of mesoderm, this central core, in the ectodermal folds, it forms the tarsal plate and the connective tissue of the eyelid. Now moving on, we have the conjunctival sac. So this is the area of the conjunctival sac. These are the ectodermal folds that have met in the midline, and this is the mesenchymal core. So this is the region of the conjunctival sac. So upper and lower folds, they grow and fuse with each other. Here you can see the upper and lower ectodermal folds have fused with each other, enclosing a space between them and cornea called the conjunctival sac. So this is the developing, this is the cornea, and this is the fused fold. So this space is known as the conjunctival sac. Now eyelashes and glands in the eye, they develop from the surface ectoderm. So a surface ectoderm is responsible for the eyelashes and glands in the eye. Now talking about the lacrimal gland develops from 15 to 20 buds. Here you can see in the figure. They grow at the superior lateral angle of the conjunctival sac. So these are the 15 to 20 buds located at superior lateral angle of the conjunctival sac. They give rise to the lacrimal gland. So buds elongate and get canalized. So this is the elongation of the bud. Now they get canalized. Here you can see the canalization of the buds. Secondary acini develop at end of these ducts. So secondary acini are being developed at the end of these ducts. And finally the ducts of the lacrimal gland open into the conjunctival sac. Here you can see this is the already formed conjunctival sac. Now in the mesenchyme we have the tarsal plate and the eyelashes, and in this conjunctival sac there is opening of the lacrimal gland. Now the lacrimal sac and the nasolacrimal duct. So they develop from the ectoderm of the nasolacrimal or the naso-optic groove along the line of fusion of the maxillary and the lateral nasal process. So the lacrimal sac are formed in this region, which is the line of fusion of the maxillary and the lateral nasal process. So lacrimal canaliculi, these are the lacrimal canaliculi. They develop from canalization of the ectodermal buds. They grow from the margin of each eyelid till their medial ends, near their medial ends to the lacrimal sacs. So here you can see these are the canaliculi. This is the lacrimal sac. And the canaliculi, they develop from the canalization of ectodermal buds and grow from the medial aspect of each eye to the lacrimal sac. Now, talking of the anomalies of the eyelids, we have coloboma of the eyelid. In this anomaly, this is a congenital condition in which part of the eyelid is missing. Here you can see in the figure a part of the eyelid is missing, known as coloboma of the eyelid. We can have entropion or ectropion. In entropion, there's inward movement of the eyelid. In ectropion, there's outward drooping of the eyelid. So lid margins are either turned inwards or outwards. The condition known as entropion or ectropion. Now we can have congenital ptosis. Here you can see the eyelid is drooping. Droopy eyelid is known as ptosis. So in this, the levator palpebrae superioris muscle fails to develop. Then we can have epicanthus. Here you can see this is the epicanthus. There's development of a crescenteric fold of skin. Here you can see this is the crescenteric fold of skin that extends from the upper eyelid to the canthus. This inner region is known as the canthus, so this is known as the epicanthus. Now we can have cryptophthalmos. In cryptophthalmos, there's congenital absence of eyelids and there's small or defective eyeballs. Here you can see there's congenital absence of eyelid and hence the lack of eye. There can be anomalies of the lacrimal apparatus now. The lacrimal gland may be absent or non-functional. So first of all, there can be problem with the gland in itself. There can be complete absence of the lacrimal passages in whole or in part or atresia of some parts. Then we can have supernumerary puncta or canaliculi. The presence of cyst in any part of the lacrimal apparatus is mostly close to the lacrimal puncta. Here you can see in the figure. So this was all about this section. In this section we talked about the development of the lacrimal sac, the lacrimal system, the eyelids, and finally we talked about the clinical correlates. This was a lighter section and a tying up of all we talked about the development of the eye. I hope you like this section. For further such sections and lectures, keep watching sqadia.com.